Next Fest is back again, just in time for spooky season. With that in mind, we're going to take a look at the latest, greatest, and strangest entries in the ever-growing digital wilderness that we like to call Steam. As always, if you want to support our channel, we'll tell you how near the end of the video. But for now, ladies and lords, open up those wish lists, because it's time to dive in. My name is Boss Sauce.
And I'm Roland Coons. And together, we are the two-headed hero.
Before we get into the scary stuff, let's take a second to relax with a nice little walk through the woods. Oh no, someone put a haunted carnival right here in the middle of our nature hike. You'd be surprised how often this happens. Emotionless, The Last Ticket is the first game to dwell on the liminal horror of an abandoned teacup ride. Amongst other things, you play as James, a sad 40-something whose father has been missing for a decade. Dad was a big carnival fan, and so James keeps coming out to his neglected amusement park every single year, hoping he'll find a lead as to where he ended up. Turns out, this is the year.
James. It's Dad. I can sense you're here.
Your dear old dad left a series of tape recorders laying around that lay out the tale. There's a few references to some horrible fire where a bunch of kids got toasted, and some kind of abyssal horror lying beneath the park is probably responsible.
What was that?
But in the meantime, you'll be getting confused by the fact that some hallways and branches don't lead back to the same place they started in. Tunnels move their destinations, and the park features seem to shift around at will. A lot of locations look more like the remains of a container town than a clown town. It all seems just a little disconcerting until an elder god latches onto your Ferris wheel with a massive claw. Then it gets real. Time distortions, psychological horror, and ancient beings all begin to surface as you ride this choo-choo roller coaster straight to hell. X1 Games might not have made massive strides in the liminal horror genre with Emotionless, but it's a good-looking game that positively drips with atmosphere. And it's just the kind of demo horror fans are looking for during spooky season. If ancient operating systems are more terrifying to you than rusty carousels, take a look at Desktop Explorer from Reoccurring Dream. Your uncle left you an old computer after his recent passing, and poking around in it reveals a text adventure game that contains fragments of his diary from before the mental decline became too much to bear. Digging through old folders and files reveals the outer edges of a chilling tale involving your father's death. And of course, computer haunted? The puzzles presented here were clever enough without being total brainbusters, and the clippy analog that follows your every move is a nice late 90s touch. Plus, this is the only game on the list with the famous 3D maze screensaver built right in. That alone makes this demo worth the space on your hard drive, and if you're a fan of spooky mysteries and retro vibes, this is one to watch. Let's shift gears to something a little more analog. The first Industria game from developer Bleak Mill was a narrative shooter about an East Berlin office worker named Nora that gets sucked into a parallel world while trying to find her work buddy. A parallel world full of killer robots. But rather than being a straight-up shooter, Industria 2 takes on a much more thoughtful turn and leans more into stealth, adventure elements, and survival horror. Sure, you're still stuck in a robot hell dimension filled with creepy abandoned buildings and mechanical monstrosities. But this time, you found your work buddy. So at least you got someone to talk to.
It's incredible, honestly. Scary, but incredible.
As far as the demo reveals, the sequel adds a whole lot to the formula here. A limited inventory, crafting system, upgradable weaponry, and a really cool alien-style motion sensor are just a few of the new tricks. And due to a simple change in the control scheme, even the act of opening a door or turning a valve now feels a lot more tactile. It's much more in line with something like Amnesia or Alien Isolation, where combat is risky and lethal, and sneaking around the creepy blind marionette guys and gurgling red-eyed cyborgs lurking in the shadows is definitely encouraged. Survival horror fans will find this one well worth a try, and shooter fans will probably find something to like here too. Enough alternate reality. Let's check out some dark fantasy. Dynasthir from developer duo Twin Lake Minstrels takes place in a fractured realm, basically the byproduct of a multi-dimensional mashup. But here, the power of an idea is far stronger than mere steel. And while the game is built on a base of Bloodborne-style dodgy/parry combat, exploration is the true focus here. Rather than gaining experience and leveling up, you'll be searching the realm for abstract materials like essence, chroma, and awareness to upgrade your bandaged little bald man into a true badass. Then scrambling for enough resources and weapons in order to take down the beefy bandits and horrifying bosses that are sprinkled throughout the lands. Dynasthir is guided completely by NPC clues and cryptic diary entries. There's no map, no real tutorial, no quest markers to hold your hand, but that's also the point. The massive game world is packed with secrets and lore. Look, hidden skeleton. Ooh, secret cutscene. Hey, right behind these bushes, a cool hat. What's over here? Oh, a bottle of delicious green goo for sale. During my time with Dynasthir, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was some sort of lost media from the PlayStation 3 store. Is the gameplay rough? Oh, absolutely. But there's literally hours of content here. If you're the type of player that's willing to put up with a bit of jank in order to experience one of the most expansive demos that I've ever played, or if you just like collecting hats, you owe it to yourself to check this one out.
Gabagool, over here.
We'll probably never see a proper port of Bloodborne on PC, but with TEARSCAPE we can imagine what an 8-bit makeover might look like. Take up the role of a tiny sword-swinging hat man. Rampage through graveyards, countrysides, and castles beating on knights, wildlife, and undead monsters until they fall over so that you can lap up their precious, precious tears. Because in TEARSCAPE, tears is money. The salty leavings of your fallen foes can be used to upgrade your stats at a bonfire, these weeping angel statues. Like every Soulsborne known to man, all the moving parts are here. Punishing combat, dodge rolls, perfect blocks, stamina management, and massive bosses. But they're all represented in an 8-bit format. TEARSCAPE blends all these familiar concepts with some other familiar concepts from the good old Legend of Zelda. Map pieces, trap rooms, special tools, and secret areas hidden under bushes, just to name a few. And what is a Soulsborne game really, if not just a dressed up Zelda for goths? The developer, Nerds Take Over, definitely has a deep love and understanding for all things Zelda and Souls-like. I ended up going back to this demo several more times than I needed to bang my head against that boss just one more time. If the rest of the game is as well designed and fun as the demo, I'll definitely be happy to walk through these castle halls once more. If you want your dodge rolling and sword swinging a bit more G-rated while still being somewhat spooky coded, take a look at DUSKFADE from Weird Beluga. Step into the big clunky boots of a weirdly proportioned protagonist who's out to find her clockmaster sister in order to finish her pet bird.
Wait, you can talk?
Of course I can talk!
More of a 7th gen platformer than a Souls-like, DUSKFADE is all about tight controls, exploration, and beating the jelly out of all the gooey creations that are out to clean your clock.
Awesome!
The fantasy world here is absolutely gorgeous, and exploring all the ruined villages and clockwork creations brought back fond memories of hits like God of War or Ratchet and Clank. Collectathon elements are fully on display here. You're gonna scoop up raw diamonds by the fistful, steal the college funds from sleeping giants, and get overly excited about finding random cogs hidden in the environment. The demo also tops it all off with a pretty satisfying boss fight against a big pissed-off weapon-toting jelly guy. So if you're looking for something to tickle that third-person platforming nostalgia, DUSKFADE is definitely one to keep an eye on. The number of games with roguelike deck builder in the description should be something that scares everyone. How many cards do you really need? Hunter's Moon from Crimson Herring Studios aims to add one more title to the towering stack of roguelike deck builders, but it adds a few gambits to its hand that make it stand apart. It takes place in a steampunk and fantasy version of Victorian London where clanky robot suits and legendary beasts are commonplace. One foggy night, a mysterious purple moon decides to part the clouds, causing corrupted badgers, evil earthworms, and crazy cultists to run rampant. and it's up to your crack team of hunters to put this plague of madness to rest. The battle system is based on pushing cards around, anticipating the enemy's moves, and using special items when you're in a tight spot. Familiar ground, for sure, but I really enjoyed the use of a deck-based narrative path which requires careful card placement strategy for survival. Hunter's Moon also features full voiceovers, which breathe life into random story encounters you'll stumble into along the road.
The portly and bug-eyed landlord approaches with 2 tin jugs. Only drinkers are welcome here. It's ale or lager tonight. What'll it be?
And the upgrade trees for hunters, as well as repair paths for your flying airship base, help stack the decks in your favor. If you've got a hunger that only more card games can fill, well, Hunter's Moon is a pretty good time. Still not done with cards though, really? Well, check out Shards of Order from Fardust. This grim fantasy deck builder is all about falling down a hole and trying to take down a big freaky ass bird. There's a bunch of really cool imagery here, somewhat reminiscent of Dark Souls and Darkest Dungeon and probably some other dark stuff. Along the way, you'll meet other shadowy victims like the Scholar and the Exile, and you decide to bond together in order to try and escape these miserable caves. The storytelling goes hand in hand with party mechanics that make this feel more like a fully fledged RPG than just another Slay the Spire clone. If you've slain enough spires in your time and burned out on Balatro, maybe try dealing this one into your hand. But if you'd rather explode things into chunks instead of politely moving pieces of paper around, well, good news. Project Warlock is getting a sequel, or maybe more of a prequel. The first 2 games from Buckshot Software featured a grizzled old warlock that battles pixelated Lovecraftian horrors throughout a variety of locales and time periods by using his incredibly overpowered combination of badass boomsticks and powerful magic. Lost Chapters brings us right back into the fray, but this time with a haunted pirate theme. So get ready to blow away some buccaneers and shiver the timbers off scores of sea creatures with the help of a mighty musket and a beastly blunderbuss. Some new spells like this magic sword thing also make it into the rotation. Pretty cool. The demo is fast, frantic, and filled with chunky pixel gore, even if it can be finished in less than 10 minutes. But hey, that's a real satisfying 10 minutes, especially if you're a Boomshoot fan. Horror games with a lo-fi aesthetic are everywhere nowadays, and there's just something about those PS1 graphics that rattles my jimmies. In a good way. Mindscore from Mystic Crafts is one such game, but beneath this low-poly look is an old-school survival horror masterpiece. The premise is a haunted hotel where the staff and all investigating officers mysteriously disappeared. Old shag carpeting and fleur-de-lis wallpaper might be scary on its own, but seeing it through the dim beam of your flashlight is a vehicle for some effective spookies, especially once you get that feeling that you're seeing things you aren't supposed to. Before long, the halls are filled up with things that go bump in the night, and you'll find yourself terrorized by hordes of walking gum lines. The unique reload mechanics make every fight effective and tense, and a big shout out to the Silent Hill style inventory that shows all the objects rotating in space. Despite its relative simplicity, this demo really delivered on a Resident Evil 7 style experience. The hotel's layout seems to shift around you as you explore, and then there's, well, whatever this thing is. Survival horror fans should really give this one a go. Warhammer 40,000 has always occupied its own corner of the game space. Whether it's taking up an entire kitchen table or just sitting on a hard drive, you know that space is going to be filled with big guns, cosmic horrors, gothic imagery, and more skulls than the Paris catacombs. But Mechanicus 2 from Bulwark Studios puts one more fear at the forefront: dealing with tech support. Instead of playing as the usual Space Marines or Chaos Legionnaires, you'll put on the mantle of the Adeptus Mechanicus, the cybernetic space nerds in charge of collecting forbidden technology, as they unearth a long-dormant Necron tomb. This crypt is far from empty, of course. Mountain Dew flavored Terminators begin to awaken around every corner, placing you in brief yet challenging small-scale battles for dominance. In another brilliant turn, the campaign also allows you to play through as the other side, taking control of the Necrons to drive the invaders out of your resting place. Although combat seems simple on the surface, each faction requires a different approach for success. The Necrons are close combat powerhouses that can regenerate beyond death, and the Tech Priests have range superiority and a wide array of tactical options. Plus, it looks like they improved the endearing paper doll cutscenes and kept the awesome Techno Church soundtrack.
One would imagine evolution had produced something more robust. So this is indeed a tomb.
If the final product is anywhere as good as this little demo, I'll be looking forward to seeing what other surprises will be revealed in Mechanicus 2's dark future. And hey, if you haven't checked out Mechanicus 1, that's a really good one too. Steampunk soldiers face off against samurai magic in Shadow of the Road, a dark and gloomy strategy RPG from Another Angle Games. Take control of a couple disgraced ronin deep in their cups who suddenly get attacked by Imperial soldiers and sucked into a deep web of intrigue inside a fantastical version of the Edo period. Toss in some challenging turn-based tactical combat, character skill trees, interesting side quests, beautiful maps to explore, and dialogue filled with meaningful choices as well as shifting character relationships. Now we got a recipe for an RPG that I can get excited for. Beautifully drawn, fully voiced cutscenes pulled me into the gory story of a nation at war against itself, and the idea of samurai going toe-to-toe against steampunk robots and flintlock rifles paints a vivid picture. Adding pop-up glossary definitions for the Japanese folklore and culture elements was an excellent idea. It really gives the game a rich sense of history, and the little dashes of humor and well-defined characters made the story a joy to read through. Plus, where else can you find a field of these tiny dancing hat guys? Players that enjoy a heavy narrative and traditional CRPG trappings will probably find themselves getting sucked into the game's dark tale just as much as I did. There was plenty of strange and spooky stuff this time around, so I wanted to just highlight a few other games that grabbed my attention. Let's do a bonus round. Ashen Vow is a first-person slasher that takes place during the Crusades. You stomp around in big steel boots as a valorous knight. A witch has taken residence near your garrison and things have started to get weird. A bit slow and wordy at the beginning, but the demo picks up into a wild and unique survival horror experience once it gets going. The fast combo-heavy sword fighting and dark crunchy atmosphere are particularly noteworthy. Key Fairy puts you in control of a weird little dancing fairy in the middle of some dark corrupted woods, but rather than fighting monsters, you save them by rapidly grapple hooking around and mopping up all the fairy dust. Then, speaking with the forest creatures provides more clues on how to find your way deeper into the woods. It's definitely weird, and a super interesting idea. Plus, banger soundtrack. Painted in Blood puts you in the place of a surrealist painter looking for his wife in the basement, which somehow turns out to be a lot bigger than you first thought. Combat is more than just bog standard pointing and shooting here. Some enemies can only be harmed with a flashlight blast straight out of Alan Wake. Others must be shot while winding up an attack. Guns also have alt-fire modes that feel incredibly destructive. There's a bit of new Doom platforming elements and dodging around, and some arena battles with the occasional environmental puzzle thrown in. The environments look especially grimy and great. This might be a dark boom shoot with extra steps, but there's a lot to like here. Next up is Valor Mortis. Yeah, I know this one isn't officially part of the fest, but the dev had an open playtest running and I wanted to talk about how awesome it was. One more level, the people that brought you the Ghost Runner games have decided to say Vive la France and set their next game in the Napoleonic era. You wake up in a pile of dead bodies, as you tend to do in these kind of games, and immediately get jump scared by some crows. Shortly after, you notice all your former comrades in arms have gone ghouly, so it's up to you to hack and slash your way through hordes of undead monsters, put some Metroidvania-style powers to use, including the power of gun, and find the source of all this unlife. Probably this weird doctor guy. It's always a weird doctor guy. Valor Mortis is unquestionably beautiful and challenging, and while it's rare for a Soulsborne game to feel good in first person, it really works here. There's plenty of secrets to discover, a full skill tree featuring powerful runes that drastically change up your build, and the prerequisite body horror bosses to bang your head against a dozen times before you even find out that, oh no, it turns into a second form. Oh, and look! More delicious green goo! You gonna drink that? No, wait, what are you? Oh, you just got it all over the place. Anyway, Valor Mortis, go sign up for the next playtest while I clean up all this goo. Whew, that was a lot. Maybe a little palate cleanser is in order. A game about feeding a black hole from small developer Aramus is not really a scary game, unless you have an aversion to black holes, I guess. At first, you'll just be clicking on a few boulders and watching the scraps fall into a tiny gravitational gullet. But what starts out as a simple clicker game, well, continues to be a simple clicker game with a massive skill tree that slowly expands, just like that black hole you've been feeding. Relaxing music, fun little additions like radioactive asteroids and electric anomalies, and a constant upgrade hamster wheel makes this an excellent second screener while you catch up on your podcasts, or just stare into the hypnotic patterns of debris swirling away, feasting your ears on the game's cosmically chill soundtrack. Clickers have never really been my thing, but I did find this one to be extremely relaxing, mostly because you can just hold the mouse button down and watch all these little wayward rocks get swept away. If you've ever wanted to break up some space boulders and toss them into a hungry little singularity to pass the time, well, look no further. The demo provides a nice 20-minute taste of just such an experience. So, there we have it, another giant pile of wishlist fuel dredged up from the dark recesses of Steam Next Fest. These demos don't always stick around forever, so if you see anything you like, make sure to give it a shot while you still can. And if there's one that really caught your attention, make sure to tell us all about it down in the comments below. If you want to take a real stand on supporting our channel, step through that cozy tavern door and pull up a chair around the Heroes table on Patreon. It starts at just $1 a month to support the channel, and you'll get early video access, bonus materials, and special Discord roles amongst other benefits. Higher tiers get their names shouted in the credits like the brave champions here. Wolfgang Bristol, Kalagufsel, Adam Uselman, Amelie McNamara, Jaduzable, James Blake, Yaroslav Rybaki, Jim DiFrancesco, Vulpes, Cameron Frement, John Williams, Mirek Otovi, San Lunette, Thorben Pelzer, and the rest. And you can still help us out by tapping the old like and subscribe buttons down there, becoming a channel member, sharing the video, and hitting that notification bell just to get a reminder of our next roundup or review. We are so close to the 10,000 subscriber goal that we set earlier this year, and it would be just amazing to see us get there. In the meantime, we got plenty of other videos just like this, or even better. They should be popping up on your screen right about now. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next Two-Headed Hero.